Well, it's always happy when we're here together. And first part of our meeting, of course, is our public discourse. Second part, which will come later, is a study from an article from our Watchtower magazine. So our public discourse today is entitled, "What Does the Near Future Hold?" And giving this discourse to us is Brother Terry Moriah. He's from the Windsor congregation. So we'll now hand over to Brother Terry.
I'd like you for just a moment to focus on your phone screen. And I'd like you to ask yourself this question. Which app on your phone is most important to you? Now, some might say it's the emails, it might be your banking app, could be your Instagram. Well, the most important app for me on my phone, day to day, is the weather app. See, I run my own business as a tradesman in Sydney, and I want to know what the weather's going to do. I want to know what the future holds. I don't want to have to drive all the way across Sydney for it to be raining and I can't do my job. That would be a waste of my time. If it's going to be a week of 40-degree days, I want to know what the future says so that I can plan to avoid the worst of the heat. If I want to have a bit of fun next weekend and play some golf, I need to know if it's going to rain so I can go prepared. So that accurate forecast of the weather allows me to manage my time, to make some money to support my family, and to have some fun. So for that, I want to know the future. But the problem with that weather forecast is that it's always changing. It's often wrong. See, weather prediction is part science and technology, part human interpretation, and often part guesswork. And in general terms, that's true of most of the advice that we can find in the world today, isn't it? It may be well-intentioned, it may have a good motive, but it regularly falls short of being reliable and trustworthy. Well, so much so that in a February 2018 Watchtower, it made this comment. It said, "Today, experts study global trends and make projections about the future. While many of the forecasts have come true, others have failed, and some miserably." Let's consider two examples of well-intentioned predictions of the future, and let's analyse how they went. Back in 1912, a brilliant man by the name of Guglielmo Marconi invented radio as we know it today. He said this in 1912. He said, "The coming of the wireless era will make war impossible." Well, just 2 years later, he was proven wrong, wasn't he? World War I broke out in 1914. What about this statement? Do you remember this one? I do. On June 23, 1987, a former Australian Prime Minister made this famous promise to start a re-election campaign. He said, and this is a quote, "By 1990, no Australian child will be living in poverty." Do you remember that? So these are two bold predictions, two well-intentioned statements. But did they turn out to be accurate predictions of the future? Well, of course not. We know that, don't we? And why not? Because the promises came from imperfect, unreliable sources. Men without the power to deliver on those promises. See, prominent humans have always claimed to have the answers to fix the world's problems. But the world as we know it seems to descend further and further into chaos, doesn't it? So then where can we go for reliable, trustworthy advice in terms of our future? Well, I have another app on my phone. I'm sure you have it too, or most of us would. The JW Library app. Let's have a look at that and see what that says about our future. Now, if you're new here today and you don't have that, don't hesitate to ask one of the witnesses, Jehovah's Witnesses in the audience, to help you download that onto your phone. But for now, let's open that app and let's read a statement made by our Creator, Jehovah God. It's in Isaiah chapter 46. Isaiah 46 and verses 9 and 10. Remember, this is a statement from Jehovah. Remember the former things of long ago, that I am God. There is no other. I am God, and there is no one like me. From the beginning, I foretell the outcome, and from long ago, the things that have not yet been done. I say, my decision will stand, and I will do whatever I please. What's Jehovah saying to us here? Well, that he is the one true source of a reliable hope for the future. So he knows what's in our future. Jehovah knows what's best for us, but he also wants what's best for us as well. So he wants us to live that long, rewarding, happy life. And so as the one who created all life, it's only him that has the reliable, trustworthy advice on how to live successfully now, but also in the future. And the way that Jehovah wants to share that information with us is through his word, the Bible. But that brings us to a question. We might ask ourselves, well, can I really trust the Bible? Well, we can, because it points or reliably foretold events in the past that have proven to be true. And it's predicted things that we see happening now if we're aware of what to look for. Thousands of years ago, the Apostle Paul wrote to Timothy explaining some of these signs to look for. We can have a look at these in 2 Timothy chapter 3. Now, as we read this, ask yourself if you think it reflects the way people behave in this world today. So it's 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verses 1 through 5. It says, "But know this, that in the last days, critical times hard to deal with will be here. For men will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, haughty, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, disloyal, having no natural affection, not open to any agreement, slanderers, without self-control, fierce, without love of goodness, betrayers, headstrong, puffed up with pride, lovers of pleasures rather than lovers of God, having an appearance of godliness, but proving false to its power." Would you agree that those verses describe the dominant personality traits of people in general today? Selfishness, aggression, impatience. People are openly cruel towards one another, aren't they? I think we would agree that that is the way people tend to be. Well, that was people, but what about events? Are there events in the world that we can look to as further proof of Bible accuracy? Well, Jesus himself spoke about these events. If you turn with me to Matthew chapter 24. Verses 6 through 8. And his disciples had been asking him, well, what do we look for? What are the signs of these days that you're speaking of? In verse 6, this is part of Jesus' reply. He says, "You are going to hear of wars and reports of wars. See that you are not alarmed, for these things must take place. But the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there will be food shortages and earthquakes in one place after another. All these things are a beginning of pangs of distress." If we think about the world today, is that prediction, that prophecy accurate? I did a little bit more research this morning just to be current. And right now there are 19 significant wars raging around the world. That's today. There are civil wars in Myanmar and Sudan. I hadn't heard about those ones. Conflicts between Gaza and Israel. We've heard about that one. The US and Iran. But the Russia-Ukraine war That's been going on for 12 years. And it escalated in 2022. Well, that one seems to have wide-reaching impact on our world today. Now, did you know that the Ukraine has historically been known as the breadbasket of Europe? See, its fertile soil produced 50% of the world's sunflower oil. And it's one of the top 5 grain producers in the world, producing wheat, barley and corn. Now, those crop staples, they feed billions of people. But with ongoing war, there are significant shortages. And that leads to higher prices worldwide. And that adds to even our cost of living pressures we feel here, don't they? What about earthquakes? Well, on Wednesday alone, according to the Guardian News website, an earthquake measuring 5.6 on the Richter scale hit California. Hours later, a 7.2 magnitude quake hit Japan, and 2 powerful earthquakes rocked Venezuela that created mass casualties. Now, those 4 tremors happened within 8 hours of each other, and that prompted some online speculation over whether or not they were related. Now, experts say that they weren't. But according to Jesus, what did he say? Well, he said they were going to happen. Those things can be seen as undeniable proof that we're living in the last days. See, other Bible prophecy indicates that these events, the signs of the last days, would begin in 1914. Now, that was the most significant year in human history because it was the year that Christ Jesus, God's Son, was installed as king in God's heavenly government. Now, we don't have time today to explore that, but if you're new to our meetings, whether you're here in person or you're online, we encourage you again to ask one of Jehovah's Witnesses to help you understand how the Bible points to 1914 as that pivotal year. Lesson 32 of the publication Enjoy Life Forever explains these prophecies in detail. And it's particularly helpful with a 5-minute video. God's kingdom began ruling in 1914. Now, that video explains very clearly, the Bible chronology and the mathematical equation that Jehovah has given us in the Bible to outline his son's appointment as king. So knowing these things then, trusting in Jehovah, trusting in his promises in the Bible, and then understanding our place in time, we need to be ready for what is soon to come. Because whether we realise it or not, and I'm sure we do, we stand today on the verge of tremendous world-changing events. Well, what does Jehovah's word reveal about the near future for us? Well, there are key events ahead of us, things we can actively look at to know where Jehovah's purpose is heading. So again, let's consult Jehovah's word. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. Excuse me. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verses 2 and 3. It says, "Therefore you yourselves know very well that Jehovah's day is coming exactly as a thief in the night. Whenever it is that they are saying peace and security, then sudden destruction is to be instantly on them, just like the birth pains of a pregnant woman, and they will by no means escape." Well, there are 2 important parts to this verse. And our understanding of the sequence of these events, these 2 events, has very recently been adjusted. Now, if you're taking notes and you want the references here, it's the questions from readers, Watchtower of November 2025, and the question from readers in the Watchtower of February 2026. Now, the February 2026 Watchtower reads in part, "In the near future, the world's political powers will hand their authority over to the United Nations, and together they will destroy false religion. This will be the start of the Great Tribulation. We also know that at some point according to what we read there in 1 Thessalonians, that the nations will proclaim peace and security. Well, when will that happen? Well, their understanding now is that there are two possibilities. The proclamation of peace and security could be made before the destruction of false religion. That was our previous understanding of these scriptures. But after further careful consideration of the scriptures, we can now appreciate another potential scenario. If we have our first image there, please, brothers. Now, this is the second possibility. That cry of peace and security will come after the political elements have completely destroyed false religion. And what's the reasoning behind this potential scenario? Well, Jehovah considers Babylon the Great to be blood guilty for all those lost to war and conflict, according to Revelation 18, verse 24. See, throughout history, false religion has actively participated in war and conflict. Wars of the nations, acts of terrorism. And so instead of representing God's love as they claim, they've actually been a force driving war and aggression, not peace and security. So that then raises the question, will the nations proclaim that peace and security only after they've removed Babylon the Great as a driver of this conflict? Well, it's a possibility, but we can't be certain. We'll have to wait and see what happens. We can have that image down, thanks, brothers. See, what matters for us most is not the timing of that cry, but it's our standing before Jehovah when we hear it. That's the important thing. See, if we're paying attention to Jehovah, if we're staying close to his organisation, well, then we'll be prepared to act when we recognise that cry. When we get the instruction, which we'll no doubt receive, about what to do or about where to go, and then we won't hesitate to follow it. We will know what to expect. So false religion is destroyed, then what happens next? Well, that coalition of nations are then going to turn their attention towards us. If we could have our second image, thanks, brothers. Jehovah's true worshippers. Our image there. Imagine what they're saying around the table. Well done, everybody. We've made the world a better place. Religion, gone. No more trouble. Imagine what we're going to achieve together now. We'll rule the world. But wait a minute. Jehovah's Witnesses are still out there. They're still preaching. How did we miss them? We can't have them out there talking to people about God. We want people worshipping us. We can remove that image, thanks, brothers. See, they plan on coming after us as the only people worshipping our true God. They see us as weak and vulnerable. They know that we don't personally retaliate when we're attacked. We are peaceable people. But they don't understand why we don't retaliate. See, we won't need to. Jehovah promises to protect us. He promises to protect his loyal followers. But Ezekiel 38 tells us exactly what to expect. Ezekiel 38 and verse 18. It says, on that day, the day when Gog invades the land of Israel, that's when that nation turns their attention to us, declares the sovereign Lord Jehovah, my great rage will flare up. Can you imagine what that rage could look like? Well, further down, we're given a description. Verse 22 there, Ezekiel 38. Jehovah goes on, I will bring my judgment against him with pestilence and bloodshed, and I will rain down a torrential downpour and hailstones and fire and sulphur on him, and on his troops and on the many peoples with him. And I will certainly magnify myself and sanctify myself and make myself known before the eyes of many nations, and they will have to know that I am Jehovah. Can we have our third image, please, brothers? See, those nations standing against Jehovah, the people standing against Jehovah, that refuse to accept him as their sovereign, they will attack us. But we know the outcome. They will not survive. And they won't be wiped out by us. We watch on passively. We are protected. But the verse tells us who does the wiping away. Well, it's Jehovah himself. He says, I will magnify myself. He will make himself known as the ultimate power in the universe. He'll leave none in any doubt of his sovereignty. See, he's going to finalise the work that we're responsible for at the moment. Our ministry is our part of that effort to get the message out there, to serve Jehovah, that he has a positive hope for our future. That's our direction from him. We do it passively. We do it with love. But here, he steps in to finalise his purpose. Time has run out. The nation's destruction will be carried out by Jehovah personally, with Jesus Christ and his army of angels. And the end result of that day of Jehovah, if we could have our fourth image, please, brothers. That image is the end result of that war in Armageddon. No false religion, no government lording it over the people, imperfect government. So in the place of those things will be Jehovah's eternal kingdom, and righteous ones will survive to see Jehovah fulfill his purpose for the earth. Psalm 37:11 describes it as the exquisite delight in the abundance of peace. Can you imagine that? Exquisite delight. There is nothing that we won't want for or be satisfied with. Perfect health, perfect food, enough for everybody, living in peace. But what do we have to do to be there to enjoy that time? Well, we have to prepare for what that future holds, the near future and our everlasting future. But we have to be prepared. See, Jehovah warns us not to frighten us about these events, but to prepare us. He wants us to survive. And so we need to take some action. And Jehovah explains what we need to do. Now, there are 3 requirements. What are they? Well, again, Jehovah outlines those for us in Zephaniah. Chapter 2 and verses 2 and 3. He says there, before the decree takes effect, before the day passes by like chaff, before the burning anger of Jehovah comes upon you, before the day of Jehovah's anger comes upon you, seek Jehovah, all you meek ones of the earth, who observe his righteous decrees. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. Probably you will be concealed in the day of Jehovah's anger. See, that seeking Jehovah involves us taking action now in several steps. Firstly, we need to develop a personal relationship with Jehovah, a one-on-one relationship with him. And then we have to maintain that relationship and keep building on it in line with Jehovah's organisation, the earthly part of his organisation. See, developing that relationship with Jehovah means getting to know his view on matters, being conscious of how he feels about things. We do that, of course, through heartfelt prayer. That's how we seek Jehovah's guidance. And then, of course, we study his word, the Bible. We meditate on the lessons we learn there. We apply the counsel in our life. And then we also follow the leading or the direction of the governing body, of the earthly part of Jehovah's organisation. We stay close to our congregation. See, doing these things deepens our relationship with him, and it motivates us to serve him as best we can, because we're surrounded by people that are motivated to serve him as best they can. Well, secondly, then, in seeking righteousness, we do this by learning and then applying Jehovah's standards of right and wrong, making changes in our life that don't correspond with how Jehovah thinks. See, most of us have made some important changes to qualify for baptism. If you haven't yet qualified for baptism, you're encouraged to continue making those small changes. It's a fantastic goal to have. But right through our lives, we need to continue to uphold Jehovah's righteous standards throughout. Now, it's not easy to seek righteousness in this world, is it? We're surrounded by people who view sexual immorality or lying, other sins in the Bible as normal. But with that strong desire to please Jehovah, well, that can overpower any tendency we might have to want to blend with the world. Thirdly, then, we seek meekness by humbly obeying Jehovah. Every day we rub shoulders with men, women, children at work or school that are anything but meek. Being mild-tempered is almost considered a serious flaw in this system, isn't it? A serious character flaw. Submissiveness is considered weakness often. People are demanding, they're selfish, they're opinionated. Well, there's no future for that type of thinking or that type of behaviour. Obedience to Jehovah, submission to him, developing the qualities that go with that, gives us future prospects that are assured in the Scriptures. See, we can enjoy an everlasting future if we continue to make Jehovah our refuge, build on that relationship with him. We want to be able to say what the King David said in Psalm 91 verse 2. You are my refuge and my stronghold, my God in whom I trust. Well, if that's our attitude, if that's how we think, and it's how we act, Jehovah promises in return this outcome for us. Let's look at that. Psalm 91 verse 14. Verse 14. This is the outcome with that attitude. God said, because he has affection for me, I will rescue him. I will protect him because he knows my name. A little further in verse 16, I will satisfy him with long life, and I will cause him to see my acts of salvation. Do you look forward to that future? Can you picture it in your mind? Well, we can look forward to that future based on what we've learnt this morning, the proof in the Bible, the way people are, the world events we see. These are temporary. The promise of the future is not something we need to look forward to with fear or anxiety or worry. We can actually look beyond that and see a future with excitement, with expectation, a hope, a really positive hope. That's what the near future holds for us. So again, when we understand what's to come, then through that prayer, that meditation, study of God's word, well, that builds our faith in Jehovah's promises. It reassures us of this hope. It allows us to put that complete trust in Jehovah. And then that trust shows in our actions, in following his direction. It may be direction from the governing body. It could be from the local elders. It could be from our parents. If we keep doing our individual best to serve him faithfully, we will look at the events unfolding around us as undeniable proof of Jehovah's sovereignty. and knowing full well the outcome for not just the near, but also the incredible prospects of an everlasting future.
Thank you, Brother Murray, for coming here and delivering that fine discourse about what we have to look forward to in the future. Well, that concludes our first part of our meeting. Now, our second part of our meeting, the Watchtower study, we'll invite Brother Katrupi to the platform. Thank you.
Well, we'd like to extend a very warm welcome to you for this week's Watchtower discussion. To take us into this part of the program, we have a song of praise to sing. It's song 90, Encourage One Another. So if you're able to stand, we invite you to do so. Let's join singing this beautiful song. Well, our discussion today is entitled Learn from the God of All Comfort. And the principle is taken from 2 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 4 that we'll be focusing in on, and partly it says there, comfort others, now note, with the comfort that we receive from God. So Jehovah teaches us something really important about comfort, and we in turn can utilise that, and you'll see the focus says how to comfort others by following the example of Jehovah and of those who imitate him. So this is what we'll be looking at through our discussion today. And then in our review, we'll be focusing on how we can actually do that. What is it that we can do and apply that will help us to be that type of person who can bring that kind of comfort? Well, let's get our discussion underway as we ask Brother Crider to read paragraph 1.
We are all distressed by various trials, so we at times need comfort and encouragement. Just as we appreciate receiving comfort from others, we should be quick to provide it to those who are suffering adversity. Jehovah, the God of all comfort, shows us how to comfort others in any sort of trial. We can follow his example by comforting one another. We do so not because we have to, but because we love our brothers and sisters. In this article, we will consider 1, the meaning of comfort as described in the Bible, 2, how we can comfort others, and 3, what we can do when we need comfort.
So our question on paragraph 1, why should we comfort others? Thanks. Sister Ligato?
By following Jehovah's example of comforting all of his worshippers, we too can provide comfort to one another who is in need and suffering in any sort of trials.
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Sister Hannah. And we'll get Brother Kakamo, please.
And we do so not because we have to, but because we really want to. We love our brothers and sisters dearly, and we don't want to see them discouraged or in distress.
Yeah, very nice. Thanks, Brother John. Brother Denzel, please.
Because we can share our love and treat people like how we can be treated, just as we appreciate receiving comfort from others. We should be quick to provide it to those who are suffering adversity, and it's also because we face trials and difficulties, and we all need encouragement from our brothers and sisters.
Yeah, very nice. Thanks, Denzel. Names escape me. Colleen, thanks.
Because we all go through various distressing trials, or where we know people that are going through these things, then we need to apply the golden rule to do unto others as we'd have to unto us.
Yeah, very good. So there's 3 areas we're going to explore. What are those 3 areas? Thanks, Sister Doden.
One of them is the meaning of comfort as described in the Bible.
Yeah, very good. Okay. And Sister Harp?
And how we can comfort others and what we can do when we need comfort.
Excellent. Well, let's have a look at the first one, comfort as described in the Bible. Thanks, Brother Crider, paragraph 2.
In the Bible, the Greek word translated comfort can have a wide range of meanings depending on the context. It can mean encourage, exhort, or urge. The literal meaning of this word is to call to one's side. So we can picture a friend coming quickly to the aid of his companion who is suffering, providing whatever help or support he needs. Regardless of the type of help that friend gives, true comfort produces the same outcome. The one suffering is built up and strengthened.
So our question on 2, in the Bible, what range of meanings can the word translated comfort have? Thanks, Brother Davis.
Depends on the context of that word. It can mean encourage, to exhort, or to urge. So encourage can literally mean to be called to one side to help our brothers.
Yeah, very nice. Thanks, Brother Kevin. Okay, Sister McCulloch, please.
So it's providing whatever help or support a person needs. And so true comfort is given because it builds up and strengthens the one suffering.
Yeah, very good. And there's some interesting point there in the footnote under encourages. Did you pick up something that we'd really want to take away from that? Thanks, Sister, I think it's Insuk.
Interestingly, the close relationship between the strong idea of exhortation and the gentle idea of comfort and encouragement teach us that we should never exhort someone in a harsh or unkind way.
Yeah, very important, and that can be quite a balancing act, can't it, that we want to really try to understand. All right, well, let's go a little further in paragraph 3. Thanks, Brother Kevin.
Consider a Bible example. A Christian named Joseph displayed such an outstanding ability to encourage and comfort others that the apostle called him Barnabas, which means son of comfort. That name fit him so well that the Bible never again refers to him by his given name. On various occasions, Barnabas lived up to his name by coming to the aid of his fellow believers when they needed help. For instance, when the recently converted disciple Saul arrived in Jerusalem, he wanted to meet the disciples. However, they were afraid of him because of his reputation as a persecutor. But Barnabas trusted Saul and introduced him to the apostles.
Paragraph 3, how did Barnabas set an example in comforting others? And we've got the picture to consider here too. Okay, I'll have young Desi Hamilton, please.
When Barnabas arrived with Saul in Jerusalem, his fellow believers didn't trust Saul and were scared of him because of his history as a persecutor to them. But Barnabas was welcoming to Saul and convinced the disciples that Saul had changed, and that would have made Saul feel accepted and comforted.
Yeah, very nice. Thanks for that. Sister Crider, please.
In Acts chapter 9, verse 27, we read that Barnabas came to Paul's aid and led him to the apostles. So Barnabas here took the initiative to assist Paul, and no doubt Paul appreciated his kindness. So we too can follow his example by taking the initiative to assist and comfort others, and no doubt will be rewarded for doing so.
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Sister Crider, and Brother Finney, please.
And we noticed there that the name of this man was really Joseph, but he was able to comfort people so well that the others around him, apart from appreciating that, they knew he had this outstanding ability, and they called him Barnabas and referred to him only as Barnabas, or son of comfort, from there on.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that out, Brother Ray. Okay, so our picture there paints the scene for us. So what are we seeing there, and how can that really help us to drive this point home? Thanks, Brother Jason.
we can see Barnabas taking Saul along to meet the disciples, and to do that, obviously, it took a bit of initiative and bravery, as we know that Saul, before he became a Christian, he was a very well-known persecutor of Christians. And so for us, it can be also a lesson in that some we have to take the initiative for somebody who's might be seen in a bad place, and they just need like comfort. But we have to, really just take initiative.
Yeah, very nice. Thanks for bringing that out, Jason. And Brother Bynek, thanks.
Yeah, we see the two in the room behind the open door. They don't seem to have big smiles on their faces, so they were concerned about Paul. Perhaps they could have been two of the apostles, but we know in Barnabas' case, he didn't just say to them, well, here's Paul, I think he's okay. But in verse 27 of Acts 9, it says how this is Barnabas, and he told them in detail how on the road he'd seen the Lord. So he spoke to them quite a bit about Paul to make them feel comfortable and okay with him.
Yeah, very good. So that explains something too about Barnabas and his desire to help. What did he take the time to do with Paul, from what we can see there? Thanks, Sister Ben.
When we look at the pictures itself, it speaks more than words. That Barnabas actually came to this Saul or site, Apostle Paul, that later on, because he knows that Apostle Paul was feeling isolated, mistrust, and vulnerable. So just like Acts 9 verse 26, even Barnabas speak positively about Saul. When he arrived in Jerusalem, he commented that Apostle Paul or Saul made efforts to join the disciples.
Yeah, very good. And Brother Hamilton, please.
And in verse 27 of that same chapter, Barnabas told them, being the apostles, in detail how Paul had seen the Lord. So Barnabas couldn't have known this unless Paul had told him. And so Barnabas obviously listened very intently.
Yeah, very good. So a good lesson there, isn't it? We'll talk more about that as we go through further in this discussion. Well, let's have a look now at our next section, how to comfort others. Let's have a look at paragraph 4. Thanks, Brother Kevin.
Visit them if possible. Jehovah uses his servants to provide comfort to others. For instance, when the prophet Elijah was depressed, Jehovah used an angel to encourage him. The Apostle Paul also recognized the power of visiting his brothers in person to encourage them. When you visit someone to provide comfort, allow time for more than just a brief interaction. If you are unable to visit someone in need, however, do not underestimate the power of a phone call, a letter, a card, or a text message to strengthen him. Will you allow Jehovah to use you to provide comfort to others?
Okay, let's get a reader for Romans chapter 1, verse 11 and 12. Thanks, Sister Iris.
For I am longing to see you, that I may impart some spiritual gift to you, for you to be made firm, or rather that we may have an interchange or encouragement by one another's faith, both yours and mine.
Nicely read, thanks for that. So our question on 4, what is one of the best ways to provide comfort? Okay, thanks, Brother Papa.
The best way we can provide comfort to our brothers and sisters, if someone is sick in hospital, or if we can't go visit them in hospital, we can always call them or send them a letter.
Okay, thank you. Sister Abby, please.
The Apostle Paul highlighted the benefit and the importance of our gathering together in our meetings. has it quoted here in Romans 1:12, it says, rather than we have an interchange of encouragement and by another's faith. So we should never underestimate the power of our gathering together as helping one another out.
Yeah,
and
excellent.
comforting.
Thanks, Sister Abby. And Sister Simone, please.
Just on a personal note, as most of you know, we recently have been the recipients of such comfort. As mentioned in Romans, some were spiritual gifts, others were shared experiences of encouragement, and we received those text messages, calls, and in-person visits. And all of these efforts by our brothers were like these pillars of support under a fragile bridge that was having repairs, and they played a really beautiful part of Jehovah's comforting support network for us.
Thanks very much for your very personal comment there too. Thanks, Brother Nella.
And a lot of the times we can run into our brothers and sisters that are struggling and we can, oh, how you going? Like a quick, check-up and that's it. But we see in 1 Corinthians 16 verse 7, it says, "For I do not want to see you now just in passing, since I hope to spend some time with you, if Jehovah permits." So not rushing these things, not just popping in for a quick hello, but if they're really needing help, spend some time with them, show you care, bring a gift and a nice word.
Yeah, excellent. All right. Thanks, Sister Sarah.
And also we can see how Jehovah encouraged to Prophet Elijah in 1 King 19, an Elijah example. Jehovah sent angel to be with him and also even to touch him. So that show how meaningful it can be someone be there with them. Like sometimes our present can be like comfort to someone as well.
Yeah, very nice. Well, we better move on. Let's have a look at paragraph 5. Thanks, Brother Kevin.
As the last days become more critical, we can expect to face increased challenges when we try to comfort our brothers and sisters in person. During Paul's imprisonment in Rome, Onesiphorus, who was from Ephesus, searched for him at the risk of being imprisoned or even being put to death. Witnesses in Russia have shown a similar spirit when their brothers and sisters are being persecuted for their faith. When witnesses are brought to trial, their brothers and sisters are present in the courtroom to show their support, even though doing so could put their own freedom at risk. Why not prepare yourself to follow their brave example by studying how God's people in ancient and in modern times have supported one another and have found joy despite persecution?
Paragraph 5, our question, what challenges can we expect to face? Okay. Thanks, Sister Melencio.
The challenges can be your life will be at risk. In 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 16 to 18, we have this a very good example of Onesiphorus, who was from Ephesus, and he said that when Apostle Paul was imprisoned, he says there that he often refreshed me, and he did not become ashamed of my prison chains. And then on the verse 17, he says, he's looking for him diligently and found me, and may the Lord grant him to find mercy from Jehovah in that day. So we have some modern example these days, like our brothers and sisters in Russia that shows a similar spirit. So these brothers and sisters, when they are persecuted for their faith, these trials can give a risk for the brothers and sisters in presenting the court, but they still show their support even doing that is a risk for them.
Yeah, very good. Okay, and thanks, Brother Hunter, please.
If Adam and Eve hadn't messed up, there still would have been a need for comfort. We would have had to comfort our spouse if they'd stubbed their toe on the end of the bed, or comfort a child who lost something, or a friend whose garden hadn't worked out quite right. But now, because of the mistakes they've made, and because we have Satan in the background actively undermining us, and not just trivial things, but real things like persecution, death, torture, these horrible things like war. Of course, he's actively working against us, trying to serve Jehovah in his purpose, to show love, this new command, and inside that love, comfort. So even showing comfort isn't easy because of Satan.
Yeah, okay, very good. And thanks, Brother Nicholson.
Yeah, so it's an interesting paragraph amongst what we're learning, because it's just now from a slightly different angle, the effort required to provide that comfort. So as has been brought out, Onesiphorus, I can't say it right, he had to diligently search, he had to make an effort. That's going to happen with us, no doubt. As the system gets worse, there'll be effort required, whether now it is just that self-sacrifice, or whether it's actually putting ourselves at risk as the authorities and other things make it harder to worship Jehovah.
Yeah, very good. So we might have to think about this, and what steps might we take to really prepare? Thanks, Brother Harp.
Well, we all live a busy time and we have anxieties, but as the paragraph highlights that we need to prepare ourselves for a visit to comfort others. We can't leave it for a chance. By studying the examples of God's word in time past and in today, that will help us and encourage us to comfort others.
Yeah, very good. So what can happen otherwise? We can find some really good reasons not to, can't we? But by preparation, we can find very positive reasons why we need to and should do and want to. Well, let's have a look now at the next point there in paragraph 6. Thanks, Brother Kevin.
Listen to them. When the prophet Elijah felt that his life was in danger, he poured out his heart to Jehovah. Our loving God listened to Elijah as he expressed his concerns, even though he already knew what was troubling him. Jehovah even listened patiently as Elijah repeated himself. Jehovah also allowed the prophet Habakkuk to express his concerns and doubts in a way that could have seemed as if he were challenging God's authority. Today, Jehovah listens closely to our prayers, even though he already knows what we need. We can imitate Jehovah by listening carefully and respectfully when our brothers and sisters speak. Be quick to listen as they talk, and avoid interrupting or taking offense, even if they seem to be speaking rashly or if they are repeating themselves.
Paragraph 6, our question, how can we imitate Jehovah as we comfort others? And we've also got a picture to consider here as well. Let's go up the back to young Sister Hunter.
The Bible says we should be quick to listen and slow to speak, so we can comfort our brothers and sisters the way Jehovah does. We can listen carefully and respectfully though when they speak to us.
Very nice, thanks for that. Okay, Sister Castro.
We can let them pour out all their emotions and bad feelings to us. And just like Jehovah, who listened patiently to Elijah, we can also listen patiently to our brothers and sisters, even they might speak rashly or repeating themselves. We have to understand the heaviness they are feeling, and a good listening ear will provide them comfort and ease.
Yeah, very good, thank you. And Sister Hamilton?
And there's not one Bible account where Jehovah has interrupted a faithful servant's prayer despite what they were saying in their prayer. So we know that Jehovah doesn't tune out or switch off if we're repeating ourselves or speaking nonsense. So we shouldn't do that either when we're listening to our brothers and sisters. Rather, we should imitate Jehovah's limitless patience and respectfully listen to them. And this shows them that we've got a sincere and genuine love for them.
Yeah, very nice, thanks for that. And sorry, we'll have Sister Woodwani, who's patiently waited on Zoom for us.
Thank you. Just looking at that picture,
these two sisters are talking. One sister is really pouring her heart out to the other sister, and the sister, we can know she's not talking on top of her, but she's patiently listening to her, what the concerns are. So she's doing as Jehovah does, that he patiently listens to us. Doesn't matter we're talking nonsense, so we should listen and not, and then provide comfort to them after listening what they're saying.
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Sister Wadwani. And Sister Cox, please.
And we see, sorry, we see there that it's also quite late in the evening, and so there may be other things this sister may want to be doing, or she may be tired, but she also may know what the sister's complaint is, and by taking the time and not interrupting the sister, she's showing that she is imitating Jehovah's kindness and patience, and understand she's imitating Jehovah's kindness and patience and listening just the way we want Jehovah to listen to us.
Yeah, very good. There's two principles we should just reflect on. One in James 1:19. What does that help us to appreciate? Thanks, Sister Lim.
As James 1:19 says, we should be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger. So when our brothers sisters repeat themselves, speak emotionally, or express frustration, we should listen respectfully and try to understand the feelings behind their words.
Yeah, very nice. And then the other principle in Ecclesiastes 7 verse 9. Thanks, Sister Villarino.
Ecclesiastes says, do not be quick to take offense. And we can get the example of Jehovah with Habakkuk. Habakkuk was questioning Jehovah, the sovereign of the universe, and he asked him, how long, O Jehovah, I must cry for help, but you don't hear? So he said dialogue. Jehovah was so patient and he didn't take offense, and we should do the same. Sometimes it's this crazy speak that we do when we are not feeling well, so we need to think in the same way that Jehovah does.
Yeah, not crazy, it's wild talk, we call that. So, yeah. So good, isn't it, to just take a breath and listen. All right, well, let's have a look at the next paragraph 7. Thanks, Brother Kevin.
Discern what a person needs. We cannot read hearts as Jehovah does, so we can only discern what comfort a person needs if we listen to him attentively. Do not assume that you know what the person needs because you know what you would need if you were in a similar situation. We're all different. So take your time, listen carefully, and ask tactful questions that will help draw out his feelings.
Paragraph 7, our question, how can we discern the needs of someone in distress? Thanks, Brother Abalera.
We cannot read heart as Jehovah does. We can only discern what comfort a person needs by listening to him attentively. Take our time listening and ask tactfully questions that will help to draw his feelings.
Very nice. Thanks, Brother Albert. And I have Brother O. In my blind spot, I can miss you there.
We should discern what a person truly needs instead of trying to force it out of them. As Proverbs 20 verse 5 say, the thoughts of a heart are like a deep water. To draw water from a deep well, we don't forcefully push the bucket down. We wait for the bucket to sink naturally. Likewise, we shouldn't pry with our own effort to find out their needs. Instead, we can draw them out by listening patiently and letting them speak naturally.
Beautiful. Thanks for bringing that very insightful scripture out as well. Okay, well, let's go a little further. So, paragraph 8. Thanks, Brother Kevin.
Consider how Jesus comforted Martha and Mary after the death of their brother Lazarus. Both women had suffered the same loss, yet Jesus comforted them in different ways. After Martha spoke with him, Jesus shared truths about the resurrection and helped to reinforce her faith in that loving provision. But when Mary came to him weeping, Jesus apparently did not mention the resurrection. Instead, he wept with Mary and asked where Lazarus had been laid. The lesson? When we comfort those who are suffering, we must discern their needs rather than try to use a one-size-fits-all approach.
Paragraph 8, and we've got the picture to consider here too. The question, how did Jesus comfort Martha and Mary after Lazarus died? Thanks, Sister Papa.
Jesus comforted Martha and Mary according to their individual needs. He strengthened Martha's faith by discussing the resurrection hope, while he comforted Mary by sharing her grief and showing deep empathy.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks for that. Thanks, Brother Nella.
And too, looking at the photo these days, we're all so different. Some of us are practical thinkers, practical feelers. Others of us are emotional and we see things in a sad way or a hard way. So we see in the photo our first brother on the left, it seems like he's lost his partner, and he's an emotional man. He needs that touch, he needs that love, that kindness, like we read with Jesus, how he wept. We see on the other side, our elderly brother, he's more practical. He wants to know about the Bible lessons, and maybe he's showing albums of his wife to kind of show how much he loved her. That's how he shows love, whereas the other brother, he wept.
Yeah, very good. It's a very powerful, not illustration, but example. Thanks, Brother Beinek.
So as mentioned in the paragraph, we don't want to think one size fits all. And when we comfort someone, perhaps we've been through something similar. So we have to be careful of saying things such as, when I went through this, and thinking there's some sort of solution, but being able to be there and comfort and listen to the person and what they have to say, rather than just offering what we may think is good advice.
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Sister Barlow.
And our brothers are in different stages of grief. So our young brother has recently lost his wife, and our older brother, it may have been some time since his wife passed away. So their needs are different, but they're also at different stages of their grief. And we can see that our young brother has come to his brother's aid quickly because he's in need. But our older brother, he's lingering with him so that he can express himself.
Yeah, excellent. So you can see how we're building a skill set here by what we're learning. So we visit, listen, discern. Well, what else? Let's have a look at the next point in paragraph 9.
Use the Bible. When you share the comfort from the scriptures with someone, you can help that person to gain hope. That hope, in turn, provides further comfort and encouragement. How can you find a Bible passage to encourage someone? Some keep a list of verses that they consult when needed, such as those under the topic Comfort in the Scriptures for Christian Living. Ask Jehovah to help you to use His Word in the best way possible in order to provide encouragement. His Spirit can help you to recall appropriate scriptures when you need them.
Okay, let's have a reader for Romans chapter 15, verse 4 and 5. Okay. Thanks, Sister Bethia Kim.
For all the things that were written beforehand were written for our instruction, so that through our endurance and through the comfort from the Scriptures we might have hope. Now may the God who supplies endurance and comfort grant you to have among yourselves the same mental attitude that Jesus Christ had.
Nicely read, thanks, Sister Bethia. So our question on 9, how can we use the Bible to comfort others? Thanks, Sister Simone.
During COVID, I asked different ones to share their favourite scripture with me. This had a twofold effect. It not only encouraged me personally, but subsequently I've actually been able to send these verses of hope and comfort to other brothers and sisters when they've been going through trials. So I have a little list like the paragraph mentioned.
Very nice. Thanks for sharing that. Okay. And thanks, Brother Davis.
And we can ask Jehovah to help us to use his word. And like myself, I'm not very good at remembering anything. So by praying to Jehovah and asking him for encouragement, to his spirit can then help us to recall scriptures that we might need to be able to help that person.
Yeah, it's a very nice comment. Thanks, Brother Kevin. And thanks, Brother Nicholson.
And just an easy way with our own Bible reading, so we can make lists physical, but particularly younger ones, or if we're using the JW Library tool, you can tag scriptures, and then you could put comfort or particular things, sickness or certain things, that then you just look for that tag and you've got those scriptures there. So combining those things, we're then ready to easily provide comfort.
Yeah, very good. And speaking of the library, what reference tools do we have in there that can take us very quickly to appropriate scriptures? Maybe you can think of a few of them. Thanks, Brother McLean.
Yeah, we have the Excellent Aid Scriptures for Christian Living, and it's nicely highlighted for us in the paragraph there as well. But even for other things, it's really valuable. It's a really good tool for us to keep in mind to use, so that the scriptures are there readily available for us.
Yeah, if you mark that as your favourite or one of your favourites, it'll come up on the top bar in your library. Thanks, Sister Colleen.
And we can also pray to Jehovah for his spirit to help us recall appropriate scriptures when we need them, because he promised that the Holy Spirit would bring these things back to our mind.
Yeah, very good. So we add use the Bible to our list of things that we need to think about. Let's have a look at something else that's important. Paragraph 10. Thanks, Brother Kevin.
Speak kindly. The original language word used for comfort can also be rendered exhort or urge. At times, you might need to exhort or urge the person you are comforting to adjust his thinking. If that becomes necessary, think carefully before you speak so that your words heal rather than hurt. Jehovah set the perfect example when he spoke with Elijah, who was mistaken about the value of his work and about the scope of Israel's apostasy. Jehovah kindly helped Elijah to correct his thinking without directly pointing out his errors. With kindness and careful thought, you can do the same. When you give talks or make comments at Christian meetings, always speak kindly and positively as you try to encourage and strengthen your brothers and sisters.
Paragraph 9. Why must we speak kindly when we try to encourage someone? Thanks, Sister Harp.
We should think carefully before we speak so that our word heal rather than hurt.
Yeah, very, very good. Brother Wilson, please, just down here.
That would be particularly so if we're trying to encourage the person to change their thinking. Where it says exhort, quite often we might think that's being a bit pushy, a bit bossy. Strongly encouraging is the definition that we have there. But if we were to tell them in a bit of a way where we're impatient with them, then that's not going to help them at all. So we need to be speaking kindly with them and doing so in a loving way.
Yeah, excellent. And Sister Cindy Manrique, thanks.
According to Proverbs 12 verse 18, thoughtless speech is like stabs of sword. So we don't want to make an opposite effect to people that are already in need of encouragement, but rather the goal when we speak to them is to heal.
Yeah, very good. Well, we'll move on to paragraph 11. Thanks, Brother Kevin.
Provide practical help. Those who are in distress often need more than words of comfort. Barnabas set a good example when he sold some property and donated the proceeds to support his newly baptized brothers and sisters who were in need. Many of our fellow Christians today follow his fine example by providing practical help to those who need it. Gabriela from Poland was devastated when a flood severely damaged her home. She relates, "I was really frightened and worried, and so were my parents who lived with me. I wondered how I was going to cope. But brothers from nearby congregations came and did a lot of work in just one day. That experience strengthened my faith that Jehovah is directing his people to comfort those who are suffering."
Let's get a reader for 1 John 3:18. Thanks. We'll have Sister Moria, thanks.
Little children, we should love, not in word or with the tongue, but in deed and truth.
Excellent, thanks for reading that. So our question, what do those in distress often need? Thanks. Oh, your name's gone, sorry.
We can provide practical help, like Barnabas set a good example when we hold some property and donate the proceeds to support his newly baptized brothers and sisters who were in need. So like Barnabas, each one of us can help our brothers and sisters by comfort, or if it's in a distressing moment like earthquakes or just things like that, we can help those in need by a worldwide work, and they can provide some material needs for our brothers and sisters.
Yeah, very good. Thanks. So I think it's Michelle. Yes. Okay. Thanks, Sister McLean.
And often those in distress are reluctant to ask for help. So like Barnabas, we may need to take the initiative ourselves and be observant to what practical help they may need in order to provide comfort.
Yes, very good. So that practical help is so important, isn't it? Well, let's have a look at 9 and one more area we can think about. Not 9, 12.
I got it.
Where 9 came from.
Endure your trials. Paul told the Thessalonians that he gained comfort and renewed energy when he learned about their faithful endurance. He knew that his work among them had not been in vain. Paul, in turn, hoped to comfort his brothers, even those who had not met him, by means of his struggles in their behalf. Similarly, when our fellow Christians see how Jehovah is helping us to endure our trials successfully, they are greatly encouraged.
Such a powerful paragraph. Let's consider it with the question, how can you help your fellow Christians when you faithfully endure trials? Okay. Thanks, Sister Lim.
Often the most encouraging words are not spoken but demonstrated. By remaining faithful under pressure, we may give someone else the courage to keep going, strengthen their trust in Jehovah, and help them see that no trial is too great when Jehovah is by our side. So in this way, our endurance can become a source of comfort, hope, and renewed determination for the entire congregation.
Yeah, very good. Sometimes it can be really hard to see that when we're going through difficulties. Thanks, Brother Gonzalez.
In the paragraph, we saw that Paul explained that the endurance and faithfulness of the Thessalonian Christians had deeply comforted and encouraged him. So this leads us to believe that when we are facing trials, it can have a positive effect on those who observe us. And that is why when we continue to serve faithfully despite health problems, opposition, or family difficulties, we encourage others to do the same, because our endurance can become visible proof that Jehovah never abandons those who trust in him.
Yeah, excellent. And don't we feel that way about those in our own congregation here that have been through some really difficult times and demonstrated their faith? It really touches us too, doesn't it? Be patient is our final one in this section. Let's have a look at 13.
Be patient. Brothers and sisters who are discouraged may not respond immediately to our efforts to comfort them, but the scriptures admonish us to keep encouraging one another. The expression keep encouraging describes an ongoing activity. Be patient as you continue to console and comfort those who need your support. Of course, at times, each of us will need to receive comfort. What can we do then?
13. What must we continue to do as we encourage others? Thanks, Brother Denzel.
We need to always exercise patience with others, even if they do not respond right away, because they could be going through something at the moment. So we need consistent support that will help them gradually regain courage and hope.
Excellent. Thanks for that. Okay. And thanks, Sister Villarino.
And as 1 Thessalonians 5:11 says, is keep encouraging one another and building one another. Means is an ongoing activity. It's not something that we're going to do once. If someone has a need of support, we should be aware of that, and that comes slowly, not suddenly, and we always should be trying to check if that person needs more support.
Yeah, very good. And we've got Brother Simone on Zoom. Thanks, brothers.
Yeah, just a similar thought to Sister Virginia, that to keep encouraging one another. Paul actually commended the Thessalonians by saying, just as you are in fact doing. So this was an ongoing action on their part to continue to encourage and build one another up. And then Paul also gave some lovely advice in verse 14 to speak consolingly to those who are depressed and support the weak and be patient toward all. So this wasn't just a one-off action. It wasn't something, a box that we tick. Some brothers and sisters have to endure very long-term trials, and it's just so loving to see that in the congregation we see that pool of support there with all of our brothers and sisters encouraging and supporting those who are going through difficult and perhaps long-term trials.
Very nice. Thanks, Brother Simone. So 8 points that we've just discussed. We want to really reflect on those and how we can put those into practice. Now, final section, when you need comfort. So this is turning it around the other way. Let's look at 14 and 15. Thanks, Brother Kevin.
Pray to Jehovah. Ask him to comfort you in times of anxiety or distress. Be specific in your prayers, pouring out your heart to him. Granted, Jehovah already knows how you feel even before you pray, but sharing your innermost thoughts in heartfelt prayer demonstrates your faith, and Jehovah never fails to respond in his own way to prayers offered in faith. Philippians chapter 4, verse 6 and 7 urges us, let your petitions be made known to God, and the peace of God that surpasses all understanding will guard your hearts and your mental powers. Ask others for help. Share your feelings with a mature friend or confide in a trusted elder. Your brothers and sisters can be a source of comfort, but they may not know how you feel or what you need unless you tell them. You can ask them to listen emphatically or to share a scripture or an article that they have found comforting.
Okay, so 14 and 15, our question, what should we do when we are facing times of anxiety or distress? Okay, thanks, Brother Gebru.
Pray to Jehovah, ask him to comfort you in times of anxiety or distress.
Yeah, very good. And Brother Doden, please.
And we know that because his word itself asks us to do so. Like the Psalm 62:8, when it says, trust in Jehovah, in him at all times. Pour out your hearts before him. God is a refuge for us. So even though he knows already what we're going through, what's in our heart, the fact that we show our faith in him by turning to him, and he will bless that faith. That's why we benefit when we pray to Jehovah.
Yeah, and then Philippians really helps us to appreciate why this is so important. What does Jehovah do for us? Thanks, Brother Moria.
You know, I personally really felt this scripture in effect when our daughter left home just after COVID. And I couldn't understand the situation, but I know in prayer to Jehovah, he gave me that peace because it did surpass all understanding, and it did guard my heart and also guarded my mental powers. So the effect of that scripture, I'd read it 100,000 times before that, I don't know, but that at that time it was exactly what I needed to focus on so that I could still function and have the rest of the family stay close to Jehovah.
Yeah, very nice. Thanks for sharing that personal experience too. Brother Kim.
When we need the comfort, it is very similar to comfort others. So we already learn how to comfort others. First, we need to find out what we need first, then use the Bible and actually read the comfort scriptures and speak kindly to ourselves if we fail something, disappointed by ourselves, and also provide the practical help to ask others and research our publications, and lastly, be patient ourselves. It is the key.
Okay, thanks for that. And then Sister Cohen, please.
And if we need some help to find a mature friend or a trusted elder that we can really open our heart, we can also ask Jehovah to help to find those one, and also ask him to help us to talk to them about our troubled heart.
Yeah, very good. Sometimes that's really hard to do, isn't it? But if we do it, Jehovah won't let us down. Brother Tim?
And being honest with the spiritual brothers, like our elders, on how we're feeling, where we're at. And Jehovah truly has blessed us in this congregation, and as many, with some beautiful, humble elders for us to approach and really open ourselves up to, and be vulnerable with where we're at and where we need help, knowing that it stays with them and we're going to face a lot of troubles in the future, but encouragement's right behind us.
Yeah, so beautiful practical information here that we can put into practice. Let's have a look at 16. Thanks, Brother Kevin.
Be patient and forgiving. Your brothers and sisters might make mistakes when they try to encourage you. For instance, they might say or do something that makes you feel worse, not better. If that happens, be patient with them. And remember the words found at James chapter 3, verse 2. If anyone does not stumble in word, he is a perfect man. Focus on the good motives of your brothers and sisters. Bear in mind that the spirit, of course, is eager, but the flesh is weak.
16. What might happen when others try to encourage you, but what should you remember? Thanks, Sister Christine Abilera.
Brothers and sisters might make mistakes when they try to encourage us, but we should be patient and forgiving by remember that everyone makes mistake like what James 3:2 mentioned. The important thing is we need to focus on their good intentions and appreciate that they're trying to help even if imperfect, and show love by not expecting perfection. 1 Corinthians 13:4-7 said. Also, we should remember, even if imperfect, the one tried to encourage us. Jehovah values their sincere efforts and encourage sisters or others.
Yeah, very nice. Thanks. And Brother Hunter, please.
Perhaps a bit off track, but I read an article about a fellow who'd lost his spouse, and his father-in-law took him aside and said, look, just for the next 2 months, try not to punch people in the nose. It was said tongue-in-cheek, but he understood that sometimes people can step in. They're trying their best to soothe people in the most delicate of situations, and they might say something that's not helping. But it's the intention, not the outcome. Perfection isn't perfect. Perfection is just having a go in this instance. And Jehovah, as a coach, is way ahead of the world. He's given us all this information today and for many years. It's just a matter of having a go and trying to apply it. We'll get better in giving comfort if we practice. So he's just saying, have a go.
Yeah, very good. So, you might just think about the intentions of our brothers. Would they really be trying to hurt us? Highly unlikely. More than likely they're trying to help us. Maybe they didn't come across quite as they wish, but the intent was fine, and that's what we need to focus on. Let's have a look at our final paragraph, 17. Thanks, Brother Kevin.
We all need comfort and encouragement, and our need will only increase as the last days become more critical and as God's enemies oppose us more furiously. Let us be determined to exert ourselves in comforting one another.
Thanks very much for your fine reading today, Brother Kreider. 17, our question, what should we be determined to do? Okay, thanks. Sister Doden, please.
Because we all love our brothers and sisters, so we need to be determined to comfort one another.
Yeah, very good. And Brother Denzel, please.
1 Thessalonians 5:11 encourages Christians to keep building up one another. Obedience to this counsel helps the congregation remain strong and united during difficult times.
Very nice. Well, let's consider the review points. How would you answer? As described in the Bible, what is meant by comfort? Thanks, Sister McLean.
Comfort can mean to call to one's side, a friend who comes to a person's aid to provide whatever help or support they need, with the aim of encouraging and strengthening them.
Yeah, very good. So that's the aim, isn't it? How can we comfort others? Okay. Thanks, Brother Villarino.
Yeah, for instance, two ways would be, the first way would be visiting them is possible, so allowing some time for interaction as well, not just a quick visit. And also, if it's not possible, try to contact them in different ways, so they know at least what really trying to reach them and thinking of them. But also when we talk to them, really listen rather than assuming that we know what they need or how they're feeling, just allow them to express themselves.
Yeah, very good. Okay, and then we've got Brother Simone on Zoom again.
The point was made about discerning the needs of the ones who need comfort, and it used the example of Jesus with Martha and Mary. A really amazing example there. But we could perhaps think, oh, well, Jesus, he was the Son of God. He could read anybody's heart. But what we do know about Jesus was he was friends with Martha and Mary and Lazarus, and so he was very close to them in the beginning. So he would have known a lot about their personalities. And that's an encouragement for me to get to know the brothers and sisters better, so that when they do need comfort, I know what I can say.
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Brother Steve and Sister McCulloch.
Most importantly, we need to consult God's word, the Bible, because that is the true source of comfort from us, and we have different things that Jehovah's organisation is providing for us.
Yeah, excellent. Sister Hamilton, please.
And we can comfort others by enduring with our own trials, because others will see how Jehovah helps us to endure, and this gives others confidence that Jehovah will help them endure too.
Yeah, very nice. And Sister Crider, please.
And another way is providing practical help. Sometimes those who are in distress often may need more than just words of comfort. When this is the case, we want to provide practical help to those who need it.
Yeah, very good. So there's two other points there. Speak kindly, be patient, very important aspects as well. And what can we do when we need comfort? Thanks, Sister Zayat.
We can pray to Jehovah and ask others for help, and also be patient and forgiving. And we know that we need comfort and encouragement, especially at last days growing near. More critical and opposition from God's enemies increases. We can commit to comforting one another.
Yeah, very good. And Sister Katrupi, please.
By sharing our innermost thoughts in heartfelt prayer to Jehovah demonstrates our faith.
Yeah, it's important to understand that. Well, our time's gotten away, but we really appreciate all your heartfelt comments and the preparation that you've done today to contribute to our discussion. It's an article we probably want to bookmark and go back and refer to from time to time, just to refresh those very important points that we've considered today. And if we do that, we're showing deep respect for what Jehovah is teaching us in this area of bringing comfort to others as well. Well, our final song today is Song 130, Be Forgiving. So we'd invite you to stand if you're able to, and following that, we'll invite our speaker, Brother Moria, to conclude our meeting with prayer. So Song 130, Be Forgiving.
To commence our meeting this morning, of course, we'd like to welcome everyone along here. We begin, of course, with a song, and our song number is song number 150. It's entitled, Seek God for Your Deliverance. So if you're able to stand, let's stand and sing together song number 150.